2 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. Nice.
It's neat to hear what you guys think is important. And to reflect back on being in that position myself.
Yeah.
Exactly what you guys are going through.
Did you speak to class council recently, maybe a year or so ago?
Yeah, last spring.
Okay, that's where I remember like you speaking at some point, like you were really so that'd be it.
Yeah, I was excited about that.
Yeah.
I do a lot of speaking, but what I talked about class conference that night, I was really passionate about. So.
You got us revamped up because I know we were going down a little bit. You got us pumped up.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. My role is to stay out of you guys' way. It's just you guys roll.
Yeah.
Y'all have any questions for me? I mean, I'm mostly Jordan is established.
We're waiting on Isaiah. I have some stuff for you.
Great.
So that's the format we're going with.
Mm-hmm.
This is a thank you. So I don't know if you want that now or not. And then these were some of the student submitted questions.
Right. And what have they seen or not?
They haven't seen
They have
any
the
of
green
that.
sheet.
They have the green sheet. They do not have the yellow sheet.
Right. So that Google form where students could submit
Only
questions.
you and I can see that.
Okay.
Or I don't know if you went on this.
Yeah.
Some of it was very interesting.
Right. So this is your edited.
I don't like to know the questions.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I've actually really never seen it.
I know this maybe not facts and figures. And,
Yeah. It's like sophomore year when I was undergrad. I was like getting dropped off by one of my friends. He was like, "Hey, they asked me last year this question. I didn't ask them to tell me like what they were gonna ask."
Yeah.
He literally was like, "Hey, they're gonna ask you this," and it like totally threw me off. And I was like walking in there, I was like, "I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say." The rest of the interview was totally great, and that answer to that question was by far like the worst
Really?
part of the
Yeah.
interview. Looking sharp.
How are you?
Yeah, doing well. How y'all feeling?
Good. Get excited.
I'm excited. Well,
I just want to ask them.
yeah, as soon as
I don't think so.
I'm not working the camera, but I think it's very fine.
Go for it.
What's up,
What's up,
guys?
bud? How are you?
I'm good. I'm
You
good.
excited?
Yeah.
It's the first time all three of us been like, right? Or no, we were
We
there
flew
last
actually
night.
last night. I think that was
That's
the
right.
first time.
I think.
Is there a place to sit?
And then Ann and Hannah were just here. They walked out. I think the others. Okay. They'll probably be back.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of each other.
It's literally a whole conversation. I think Isaiah, bring it to the camera.
Yeah, I think we're live right now.
We're pretty much live. Yeah. See? Live.
Yeah, that's funny.
There we go.
Okay.
Great. Well, yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this.
Really enjoyed it last time.
Good. Yeah.
Really glad that you invited me to do it.
Absolutely. As soon as you said yes, I was like, good, it'll be good. We'll be rocking. But,
I'm gonna put these by the candidate.
Okay, cool.
I have an extra one.
Oh.
And they can.
Probably I'm so glad he's so Hi. Their shirts are free, so they're not saving seats. You can sit wherever. Hey Isaiah, this is for you. It's just what I emailed you.
Thank you.
And we'll probably roll the die in a couple of minutes to like establish the initial speaking order.
Would you like it? Like they were, I was just talking to Ben and Amy, and they said there's a potential y'all can get us a table. Would you want one so you can be able to take it?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, if y'all can, I like it. I can give you all right. So,
Yeah, sure. We can. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. This is supplementing everything. So
Thank you.
Do you have any questions about anything? Okay.
How long is it gonna be, do you know?
Hour and a half. You sound super excited. It's gonna be 4 hours,
I'd be like, okay, let's go. 4 hours.
and then we're gonna actually start auditing today.
I mean,
Well, on it straight
It's
through
just
the day
get it over
until
with.
1 p.m. on
Get it over with.
Friday.
Oh, I did get my auditing.
Yeah, good.
Really? It was like, have fun with
election commission, so I grab the hair.
Yeah, good.
Ask them how long it's gonna be.
You know, I didn't care. Honestly, they asked me.
I have a question about the state.
Yes, I
So are they
think
all coming to the mic each time?
that's what I was planning on, but he just said Amy might be getting a table.
Okay. They would maybe have a mic on it or?
We would have to use the mic. Move it. Michael wanted a table in front. Apparently that's how it was 2 years ago.
They had two sofa chairs, like lounge chairs, and a small table like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, Amy might be wanting to get one. We're not. I was
But
just.
the only microphone that you guys
Is
have
the one
on is the phone.
Yes. So I was planning on setting up anyways.
So were you anticipating that I should ask the question from the podium and then back up? And who's the timekeeper?
Mia. And we'll be right
Where Isaiah's sitting.
Okay, so I should probably work out a protocol with them. I'm gonna put my hand on their shoulder or something.
Sure, and then we have these, and one of them's a stop, so they should be able to see as well, but yeah.
Okay,
however
so when
you-
I see a stop, I'll put a hand on their shoulder. And a few seconds later, I'll stop.
Sounds good.
So I'll let them know, but they'll see the stop.
Yes.
The hand on the shoulder is
Is
a.
the, you need to stop, and then if they don't, we'll have to go for the stop, I guess.
Things will get feisty.
We'll TQ them. Is that
Automatic.
Is that Honestly, I'll probably wait till like
7:05.
yeah.
Chit chat.
See, if Amy gets the
Yeah,
table, it's
do
weird.
you want to go ahead and show them what the time cards
Yeah.
full cycle?
Yeah. So we distracted. So we have 2 minutes for opening and closing statements. We probably won't give it because
For answers.
the answers are 2 minutes. And then we have 1, 30, 10, and then stop.
Okay.
There is a 10?
There's a 10 seconds.
Okay.
That's the nicest
And
stuff.
stop. Yeah.
So 30 and 10 are both yellow. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then do we want to go ahead and roll the die to see
Yeah.
the openings?
Lowest
Whoever wants to go
goes
first. Highest goes first, I guess.
first. Oh, highest one.
Whoever wants to start.
YOLO.
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 Be sure to say that during the debate.
Yeah.
Three.
Let's go in order of social media presence. Like you started first, and then it was Isaiah, and then it was me the day after. So two.
Two.
Oh, wow.
Well, I
Close
think
here.
So we'll start with Michael. And then for the questions, it will
What is it? So it's Michael?
Michael, then Isaiah.
We said done it for that.
That's hilarious.
Okay, that's really funny.
Will you? I think maybe it makes sense to have a roll for the last slots.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, just because somebody might think you're going to go first both times, or going last, and for.
Yeah, sure. Oh, so we're gonna roll again for.
Hey guys, we all go ahead and roll for closing statement as well.
yeah, sure.
And consider it.
Stop and do a roll. And
Bring it 3, 2, 1 again.
Two.
Go ahead.
I stole it from my roommate, so.
Two. Uh-oh.
Two.
Four.
Four.
Okay.
Okay, so he'll go first, and then
And
you
then
re-roll.
both of us. Three. Oh, no, I'm gonna re-roll that.
Okay. Three.
Three.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Six.
6.
2.
Okay.
You get the last. Okay.
What's this one?
Isaiah, Michael, Jason. No.
So It's me.
I
I think the ties meant that you were supposed to speak at the same time.
I can do that.
Just whoever's
You give us
loudest.
more time for extra.
Okay, both of them.
We can just double the length.
Oh, her. Okay. Sweet. Just double checking the logistics of that.
Are we gonna sit here or there?
I think Tom keep a better sit over there, and then.
Do you want me to tap you out? Just like
Yeah, I'll let you know. Cool. I'm gonna put this down here. And
I think we're gonna wait about 5 minutes. Just
yeah,
so,
so let's
yeah.
Cool. And I'm gonna put one of these over as well.
Yeah. If you want to see it. And that has some good ones.
Okay, and then Matt can copy of these.
Yeah.
Okay, and he can just pick up anything else to say.
Yeah, we went through some.
Sweet. Okay, awesome. That was, oh, those were on the bottles, the water bottles. Is this my pen?
That's my pen.
It's your pen?
Yes.
Cool, sorry, I almost stole it.
Last change. Are these like fun facts?
I don't know, I think so. I think they're from like mustard or something. Not mustard, maybe mustard. No. Traditions Council.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were handing stuff out. I'm going to, I need to check something.
Can he see? Okay. Then probably this side.
I went to high school. Back then,
Yeah.
I like Right, that's exactly. Yeah, I mean, I know. Right. College students. What's your name?
Oh, yeah. I would assume so.
Yeah, you can have like the notes sitting out. Yeah. Right. I figured that there's so much less rain right now. Yeah, I've heard from rain.
You teach that? I was there for a Richard Johnson is actually
Really?
I was, that flavor is English. That's what you have.
Are you? You're not even doing it. I'm better maybe
Yeah, you were at.
That makes sense.
That's always good. Your hard chance.
So when she realized how cold Good. How are you?
I mean, if it's every day is like a day.
Is it getting crazy? Or? A bit. Like, yeah. Yeah. When I heard, well, I mean, since we're telling me that 110 is a little more is that here or?
Yeah.
Or like,
Oh, actually we have 150.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's 110 senators alone.
Oh, 150 candidates. Is that like a high number? I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. There's a lot of delegates. That's the most.
Okay. Oh, someone's saying interesting. I like your idea. You can, sorry.
I know it's not the Constitution. I just don't. I don't know. Has anyone ever done it?
I mean, we could just move our chairs. We could just move these. One more. Are you watching this? Yes. Okay. Nice. Are you excited? Yeah. We'll probably go ahead and get started. Yep. I'm ready. Yep. Are all of y'all fine with this view?
That's great. We heard that they started live and some people were tuning in.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we can hear you. So
Really?
we did like some selfies.
Oh, wow. That's cute.
Yeah. I think it's no, no, so that's kind of loud about this. Like, it picks up our voices. Good to
Howdy.
Thanks everyone for coming out to this debate. Okay. Oh, well, yeah. Howdy. Just a reminder that voting will open Thursday at 9 a.m. and closes Friday at 3 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone who submitted questions. We have, I think, a lot of excellent ones. There were some that we can't use because they made good reading material for me. Tonight, our moderator is Matt Josephy. He is a professor at Mays, and more importantly, he was the student body president in 2004. So I'm really excited for him to be here, so we'll pass back to him.
Howdy. Thank you so much for attending tonight's debate. Texas A&M has a strong history of student governance, and the student body president is a central piece in that governance picture, involving students and ensuring their opinions are represented to the administration. So tonight it's my pleasure to welcome you to this debate. I thank you for following campus politics and having an influence on the way that will affect you and future student bodies to come. Tonight's debate will start with opening statements from each speaker. That order has been predetermined, and so I'd now like to invite Michael to come and give a 4-minute opening statement.
All right, howdy. Well, first off, I want to thank Emma Douglas and the Election Commission for having us, Mr. Josephy for moderating, and my candidates beside me for being here and doing their best to serve Texas A&M. This is a great opportunity that we have to be able to stand up here and share our platform, and that's really what I'm trying to do for the rest of everyone at Texas A&M. It's about being able to share what we do. When I first came here, I fell in love with institutions immediately, and it made me really want to get back to this university, and I saw different areas where we needed to work. And that area is that we need to each have the ability to share our opinion and work together. And so this is an awesome opportunity for us three to get up here and really speak and share our platforms and try to make A&M better every day. Some about me, I went to Allen and I graduated there. I went through a really trying experience there. I'm sure some of you have heard me speak before about this, but I was run over by a car, and it really took a lot of things away from me. But it gave me so much more because my original plans had to change. And I found Texas A&M, and I immersed myself immediately. I remember the minute that I found that I was in love with Texas A&M was at my pitch camp, my freshman year. I was sitting in the muster ceremony that I'm sure so many of you have had, the replica of the muster ceremony, and I couldn't imagine another place that I wanted to be at that time. And from that, I knew that from my past and learning that I only have a certain amount of seconds to impact everything that I'm surrounded by, I knew that I wanted to use those seconds to impact this great university. That has given so much to me from the get-go. So with that, what do I want to do? I want to give everyone a voice for the next year and for the rest of the time. Currently, only 1.9% of the student population is represented in the student government, and that's not okay. So my team and I want to create a unification council. In this unification council, 100 presidents from across campus, every single president on campus, will have the opportunity to meet with all of us student leaders throughout campus and tell us exactly what we can do to better serve all of you, as well as tell us what we can do to better Texas A&M. We can keep you up to date on what we're doing in SGA, and there will be more transparency, unity, and hopefully more attendance in the traditions that make us so great. We also want to take that unity and extend it to other areas. We want to create an SEC-wide charity project to give back to our nation in all areas of the SEC. We also want to unite with our veterans and give them priority registration for their classes in honor of their service, as well as work on things like dining and transportation. We need more buses, we need more efficient routes, we need healthier options for food, and that's just to name a few. So I'm really looking forward to sharing all that I am working with my team on the platform. I'm looking forward to getting to talk with these guys and with y'all. And I thank y'all so much for being here, and I'm excited to get this going.
Thank you, Michael. Continuing with our opening statements, I now would like to invite Isaiah and Sal to the stage.
Well, howdy. Howdy. Well, my name is Isaiah Tao, and I'm a junior business marketing major from Houston, Texas. I just want to thank everyone for coming out, just to meet with us briefly and just get to know us. Like you said, we have a lot of different ideas. It's a great opportunity for Texas. So I'm just going to start out and talk a little bit about who I am. We're a little unconventional. I'm a little different. As you can tell, I'm Asian American. I am one of the few minority students to ever work here at Texas A&M. Texas A&M has blessed my life with so many innumerable opportunities. Chance to receive higher education, to network with the amazing Aggie Network, and ultimately to grow and develop as a leader. So what I was involved in, I was in InterVarsity Christian Fellowship since my freshman year. I was a small group leader, and through that I was able to really invest and truly on ground floor, truly invest in students here at Texas A&M. Now I'm an ambassador for the for the Department of Multicultural Services. So the diversity of the Aggie family truly resonates with us. And I'm also Vice President of Asian Presidency. I tell people I'm a self-made man. I paid through college entirely by myself. And then I'm so proud to say this past Thanksgiving, I actually paid off all my student loans. And I also purchased my first car, and her name is Emma. And she has a lot of problems, but she symbolizes the hard work, dedication that I put into. And I believe that translates to Texas A&M. What we're trying to do here, all three of us are running for the betterment of the Aggie family. You can find all that information on our platform. And ultimately, I believe all policy can be replicated, duplicated. No matter who gets elected, these are great guys I got to meet through this experience. I believe we will get together and certain policies will be implemented effective regardless of who wins. Because that's something Texas A&M needs. But ultimately, I would say from ground level, from someone like myself who did not have their voice heard in my 3 years here at Texas A&M, I'm here to represent the Aggie family. We just want to see a Texas A&M that is more aware, mindful, and inclusive of all students. We all talk about diversity, but what is diversity? Diversity goes past socioeconomic status, religion, sexual orientation, and ethnicity. We have to look past color. Ultimately, if Texas A&M wants to be #1 by 2020, however many years, I think one aspect we need to look at is the creativity aspect, the intellectual diversity aspect, and ultimately, I believe that's what we're all trying to do. So that's all I have to say. There'll be more questions for us to answer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Isaiah. I'd now like to invite Joseph Benigno to present his opening statement.
All right, howdy. Hi. My name is Joseph Benigno. I'm a junior finance major from Austin, Texas. More importantly, I'm the loudest and proudest member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2016. Hey! Love that every single time. I'd like to echo what my competitors, however you want to think about it, said. And first of all, to say thank you to Emma and everybody else who are here. It's really great that you are out supporting and learning more about campus politics, like Mr. Jessica said. So thank you all for being here. I just want to share real quick about my reason behind running for student body president, my heart behind all this effort that we're putting into it, and then my vision for the year, hopefully, that I'll spend as your student body president. So the reason that I'm running for student body president, simply put, is that I'm running because of and for the Aggie family. We all talk about the Aggie family, but that's because we all agree that it is important. I had the opportunity, I would say that I was blessed from the moment that I stepped on this campus as a freshman, to just be surrounded by incredible people that molded me and shaped me into who I am today. And it's because of the depth and significance that I had with these people that my appreciation for Texas A&M is something that is so immense that I feel obligated but excited to get back to the university in the position of student body president. So that's why I'm running for student body president. And our platform and our vision, our policies are very simply put that we want to preserve the best of our past and promote the best of our future. So preserving the best of our past, what does that mean? The best of our past at Texas A&M, that's the spirit, traditions, and core values at here. That's what separates us from any other university in the country, and that's what makes us better and different than every university in the country. And so to preserve the best of our past, we want to, first of all, we want to continue to build upon the success that the current SGA administration has had promoting traditions around campus. I had the opportunity to serve as the vice president of the student body this year underneath Kyle Kelly. And he's done a fantastic job of promoting traditions around campus. And there's never been more silver taps letters written, silver taps attendance is up, general participation in traditions around campus is up, and we're very excited about that. So we want to keep that going. Second way that we want to preserve the best of our past is we want to create an endowment to pay for families that have been affected to come to silver taps. I didn't realize until recently that a lot of families want to come to Silver Taps, but simply aren't able to because financially it doesn't make sense for them to come in from out of state or from out of the country. So we want to create an endowment so that the Aggie family can reach out to them and say, we want to pay for you to be able to come and see the outpour of love that we have through the tradition of Silver Taps. The third way that we want to continue to promote support tradition around campus is on April 21st, we want to send students across the state of Texas as representatives of the student body to the different musters being held around the state. We think this is a really great way, like I said again, to strengthen the Aggie family by uniting or by joining together the two groups of students, the former students and the current students. We think that this is a way to show those former students that tradition still matter to us here, and it's a way to also inform them about things that are going on around the campus and the university. So we're excited about these ideas to preserve the best of our past. The other half of our platform, promoting the best of our future, those are the new ideas that we have, the legacy that we want to leave as a class of 2016 and everyone else who's here this next year. And those are things like redoing the Attainment mobile app. Those are things like legislating at the Texas State Legislature for tax-free textbooks, and creating a position on our cabinet where we'd be able to lobby on behalf of the student body to the city council. So things like housing regulations that keep students from living together off campus, so things like that wouldn't happen. So that's kind of part of our platform, but the point of my campaign is that if you believe in the power and the purpose of the Aggie family, we ask you to join our campaign. Because that's the heart of our campaign. We want to continue the tradition of excellent and godly leadership at Texas A&M. We've been blessed by a culture of amazing leadership, and I believe that our group is the one to continue that tradition forward. So thank you guys for being here. I really do appreciate it. Come with spirit, leave a legacy, and go with Joe. Thanks, and get here.
Thank you, gentlemen. Being on a campaign is one of the most phenomenal experiences I've ever had. It requires a leader to surround himself with many volunteers who make many sacrifices on their behalf. Appropriately, today is President's Day. It's a day where our nation honors the many great leaders that have led our country. I would like to offer each of the candidates a chance to respond to the same question. Who is a world leader whose words or decisions you have learned from and impacted your leadership style? We'll begin with Isaiah.
Okay, well, this answer is going to be really, really cliche. And when Joseph and I had, so one time I'll tell you, Joseph and I had lunch. We went to Fuego, Hall Station's only place everybody goes to. We had lunch, sat down, and discussed our campaign. And one of the questions I asked him, we participated in this exercise. It's actually a dating game. And we asked 36 questions to each other and get to know each other. And I asked him if anybody, you could have dinner with anybody who would be at your table. And he said, he named a couple, and then we came to the conclusion. I'm going to have to say God. I hate to bring God into politics, but ultimately Jesus has really changed my life. And I would say for all three of us, I've gotten to know all three of us, without a doubt, God has changed our life. And I just want to share a Bible verse that comes from 1 John 4:11. It goes like this: Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. That's such a simple verse, but yet it's so powerful. I think we're losing that a little bit in today's society and in politics as well. But ultimately, it calls us to action. What is faith without action? Simply love one another. And it calls you to love one another, everybody, regardless of your ethnicity, anything. Apparently it's funny. But ultimately, God has changed my life. We're all sinners, we're all broken people. That's what that's what the Aggie family is here to do, for one another. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. Next year from Michael on this question.
Well, I don't want to, give the same answer. Jesus is, at the forefront of my being, but I want to stray away from it. I want to talk about my parents. My parents have been there since day one, obviously. They've supported me in everything I've done. I've been blessed enough to have them help pay my way through college, but at a deeper level, they've been the ones that have, taken me from day one and taught me everything I know. They've taught me how to be a man, how to respect people. They've laid the foundation for me in my Christian faith. And their leadership is the type of leader that I think we need to see more and more every day. There's a word legendary that I love that word because I think that a legend is not necessarily someone that conquers a mountain, but it's someone that teaches or touches, individual lives. And I see every day my parents touching individual lives, and because of that, I think they're the best leaders that I can look up to because it's about those individual relationships. It's about reaching out to every single person, and they're at the forefront of me, my relationship with God, my relationship with my friends, my other family, because I see them every day, giving every single person they need the respect and time they deserve.
Thank you, Joseph. We'll now hear from Michael. I said it backwards. Thank you, Michael. Now hear from Joseph.
All right, well, I also love Jesus and my parents. But I'm going to talk about a quote that I have focused on during my time in college. And it's from Theodore Roosevelt, one of my most favorite historical figures, and actually one of the people that Isaiah and I discussed. This quote has kind of been my motto for college, and it is, Theodore Roosevelt said, "Never throughout history has a man who lived a life of ease left a name worth remembering." And that's something that I look back to every time I've had to make a decision about what I want to do in college. Do I want to take a life of ease and do something that would allow me to relax more, to do something that is more pleasurable to me, or do I want to go out and make a difference? Do I want to embrace difficulty? I've been a member of Brotherhood of Christian Aggies since I was a freshman, and we have to get to know every member as they come in. And we have to write them a letter in their book that they keep throughout the semester. And at the end of every book, or at the end of every letter for each person I write, pieces of advice. And the last one that I leave them on is embrace difficulty. And I write that quote. Because that to me has shaped my time at Texas A&M, and it's been the most important decision that I've made here, is that I want to embrace difficulty. And that's why I'm running student body president. That's why I've been involved in student government since the beginning, is that it would be easier for me to not be involved. It would be easier for all of us to not be involved. We're all involved. But we've all made decisions to put our comfort at a level that is not as important as the success of Texas A&M and the student body of Texas A&M. And so that has shaped a lot of my decisions, and that also comes from one of my favorite historical figures. So embracing difficulty by loving the quote, "Never throughout history has a man who lived a life of peace left a name worth remembering." So thank you.
Shifting to the next topic, Shaquille Gold recently made national news in a profile story that highlighted his decision to sacrifice an internship that he previously accepted to serve the student body in his role as general manager. I'd like to offer each candidate a chance to speak to a sacrifice that they expect that they'll be making over the next year, specifically around how they intend to start their role as student body president in the first few critical months. The order for this question will be Joseph, Isaiah, and Michael. And if they'll just follow each other to the platform as soon as the other finishes, that'll save us on time.
All right, well, hello. I was kind of just talking about sacrifices a little bit, so this transitions nicely. But I will be sacrificing an internship if I get this position, so that's also a nice segue into this topic. But I think sacrifice is inherent in the position of student body president. I don't view the position of student body president as a political position. There's not parties at Texas A&M. There's not divergent philosophical ideas that we need to convince each other of. I view the position of student body president as a service position, as a position of sacrifice. And so I intend to sacrifice whatever I need to in order to properly fulfill this position. And I've already sacrificed lots of sleep and grades and a good GPA for the position of the things I've held so far at Texas A&M. And I intend to continue to prioritize in the exact same way that I have before, that Texas A&M and its purpose and its culture and its leadership comes before my own needs. And so that fits well with the way that I've viewed my priorities from the beginning. And so I will be sacrificing an internship, like I said. I expect to be sacrificing lots of sleep and comfort. But more specifically, I think I'll be sacrificing kind of the normal college experience, and that a lot of people get to take for granted, and that's fine. Like, I'm not in any way discouraging that, of course. But I think looking back at one of the main decisions that I had to make about whether or not I was going to run was Am I willing to prioritize relationships with people that have made a difference, the Aggie family that I've said, in ways that might make me uncomfortable, that I have to spend less time with people that have made a difference for me at Texas A&M. That to me is going to be the ultimate sacrifice that my roommates and my best friends, I might have to see less, because the people here are why I love Texas A&M so much. And so ironically, I might end up spending less time with them in order to fulfill the position of student body president. So thank you.
I would just start by saying, I did not choose back in a couple months ago to run for student body president. It was my student leader peers in the Department of Multicultural Services that said, hey, we need to change, would you do this? I didn't get shares before, but I've been working since high school, since my senior year, because I had to pay for my own tuition, of course. I was a waiter at Saltgrass Steakhouse, if y'all been there, it's delicious. I washed cars, mowed lawns, I worked at an insurance company, now I work at the rec center, and upon this summer, I'm at same boat. I'm supposed to be working for Union Pacific Railroad. I think that's a great sacrifice in itself. But that's what I want everyone to understand. Ultimately, people who are voting, or people who have not historically voted, this is larger than yourself, serving a bigger purpose. And I believe personal success versus the impact you can make here at Texas A&M is pretty obvious which you would choose. There's 50,000 plus students. I'm going to say that you were here, and you impacted, empowered them, and inspired them in their time here at Texas A&M. And they went out, because I believe all Aggies are world changers. I believe we're at the forefront of many, many different things. And ultimately, that'll translate to millions of people touched worldwide because of what we did here today in this room in the MSC flag. But of course, there's always going to be sacrifice, but all of us are willing to do it, so thank you.
So a couple months ago, almost a year ago, I went to Spencer Leadership Conference. And I got to sit in a room full of 4 leaders, full of my delegates and then 4 leaders who were talking to us about what it's like to lead at Texas A&M. And they said that it's a tiring process. You lose sleep, your grades sometimes plummet, relationships sometimes are strained, but what an honor to have the ability to sacrifice yourself for a greater good. So when I hear what kind of sacrifices am I going to have to make, every single one of us has had to make sacrifices. Just even sitting here and making $2,000 is a pretty big sacrifice. But what an honor it is to be able to have that opportunity in this country to make those sacrifices. Kind of like Joseph mentioned with Theodore Roosevelt, his quote, mine is very similar, that I really love. Pope Benedict XVI said, the world promises you comfort, but you were not made for comfort, you were made for greatness. So we can have all the comfort we want. We can say, well, if I didn't run for student body president, I wouldn't have to sacrifice my relationships or my grades or being able to go out and have fun on a Saturday night. But at the end of the day, we weren't made for those comfort things. We were made for greatness. And I think that greatness is worth any sacrifice. So thank you.
The Corps Cadets announced this week that they had appointed their first ever female Corps Commandant. In terms of student body president, Texas A&M has had a long history of distinguished men who served in this position. The last female to serve in this position was Skylar Hauser, who was a student body president when I was a freshman on campus in the fall of 2000. For us to continue to have underrepresented groups serve in these top leadership positions, it's important that our leaders mentor the students behind them. I'd like to offer each candidate a chance to speak to the ways that they develop younger students, and particularly students from groups that are not necessarily their own. The order for this question will be Michael, Joseph, and Isaiah.
All right, well, thank you for that question. I really think that's a very, very real question, and I'm so happy that the Corps announced that today. That's incredible. That's big steps for Texas A&M. I think that we're in the right process. We currently have a speaker of the Senate right now, a lady that is incredible. She bends over backwards for something, and we need to keep pushing that forward. So what does that look like? That looks like training people. And that means that we need to bring people onto the executive cabinet, into Senate, into leadership positions from diverse backgrounds, and train them so that they can take these positions. Currently, the executive cabinet has done a phenomenal job, but there isn't not enough diversity on it. And we need to change that. We need to work. They just recently had, about a week ago, maybe not even a week ago, a forum called Elector. And that's just an incredible opportunity to train people. One of the things that I did when I started forming my team way back in September was I wanted to bring people on from each year. Nick taught and spoke at Junior Ewok, and he said that the best thing you can do as a leader is train the people behind you so that they one day can be a leader just like you. And so what we did was we brought on freshmen. We have, I believe, 3 freshmen on our team, 2 sophomores, and we train them as much as possible from different backgrounds so that one day they can be sitting in this position. Because it's all about, like Joseph says, preserving our past and promoting the future. But it's a perfect line. So we got to promote our future, just like he says. And I think that that's what we're doing here at Texas A&M, and we're making the right strides. So thank you very much for that question.
I think one of the most important things to consider when building a team or a cabinet or a plan for how you're going to raise up a diverse group of people is to understand the point and purpose of diversity. And far be it for me to say that I know, the ultimate point and that I'm some expert. But the way that I see it is that the point of diversity is not diversity for the sake of diversity, it's diversity for the sake of fairness. So when we made our team, I was picking the best people that I thought would be on the team. But because I was picking the best people, and I did it prayerfully through the advice of other people, we ended up with a diverse group of people. And I think that's because when you recognize the true attributes that a person has, when you're able to recognize attributes in a group of people, the best people that you're going to pick are going to be diverse, because the best campaign team isn't men or women or a certain racial group or a certain age, class year, or a certain part of Texas. It's all of those things. And so if you're able to recognize the value of each person and place them where they're truly supposed to be, you always are going to end up with a properly diverse group of people. I think that's the issue, or I think that's the most important thing. Remember that diversity for the sake of diversity is, I would say, foolish, but diversity for the sake of fairness, because that's private, and that people all deserve to be treated equally, that is the ultimate goal. And so I think that raising these people up to think of themselves not as a racial group or a class year or a major, but to think of themselves as fighting Texas Aggies, and that we all have an equal opportunity to be standing on this stage come your junior or senior year. I think that is probably the most important message that I can send, is that it doesn't matter who you are, what your major is, what you're doing. If you want to be here, if you want to have an opportunity to win and lead, you can.
Great question. Well, definitely, diversity. Gosh, I think that's all we're going to be talking about today. But if you look in this room, look around, we're just going to talk about ethnic diversity here at Texas A&M. In the past, I can promise you the debates did not look like this. You look around. This year, I'm proud to say that we have around 8 senators of all different backgrounds and ultimately all different ethnicities running, getting involved in SGA. And ultimately, that's what I'm trying to do here before I graduate. And all of us just leaving our legacy. That's what legacy is. It's the first time that has ever happened here at Texas A&M. We're not here to complain. We're here to take initiative and say, hey, we are trying to get involved. We are the Aggie family. And ultimately, that's how we're training our leaders, mainly multicultural students, but we also have politically Republican, but socially liberal candidates as well on for Senate. But that's tangible things we're doing to get those students empowered and inspired to get involved in SGA, because we're always talking about representation and inclusion, but if we don't take initiative, nothing's really going to change. And ultimately, I just want to say, today I saw this quote for the new commander, and it said, "Greatness has no limits. Ultimately, it doesn't matter your background, where you're from, what color you are, how rich you are. It's for those who pursue it." I thought that was pretty neat, so thank you.
Texas A&M has just announced that they have found and identified the next president of Texas A&M University, who will replace the current interim president. Many of the questions thus far have given the candidates a chance to emphasize their similarities. In this next question, we hope that they'll emphasize some of their differences. And the question is, in your very first meeting with President Young, what's going to be on the table? What questions will you have for him? What will be the main ask that you take to President Young on behalf of the student body? The order for this question will be Isaiah, Joseph, and Michael.
I had the pleasure of meeting President Michael Young on Monday with a lot of student leaders as well. And he kind of shocked me a little bit. He's very unconventional. He's a different guy. Some of our differences, he has a beard, I don't have a beard. But other than that, he's from Utah. His personal life, I mean, he's had a divorce, remarried, and ultimately, he believes research is what's going to take us further. And I believe one thing we can work at. Also, he practiced law in Japan. I think maybe we can connect on that. But some differences, there are certain programs, initiatives, and different groups here at Texas A&M that he might not see as important to getting Texas A&M to that top 10, #1 university in this nation. I believe we can work, build a relationship, and ultimately let them know why these traditions are important here at Texas A&M. Let them know why certain programs and events here at Texas A&M are important to different communities. So, thank you for asking questions.
I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Young, President Young, actually before the semester started. I got a call from Kyle Kelly. He was out of town, and he said, "There is a friend of Chancellor Sharp in town, and he's important. You need to go meet him." I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what the deal was. I just knew that I needed to be in the MSC at a certain time wearing a suit. So nervously, I was there on time, and there was 2 other students that were selected to meet. At the time, he was not even a candidate for the president. He was actually his first time in College Station. So I was honored now looking back to realize that I had been selected as one of the 3 students on campus to tell Mr. Young what it was like to be a student at Texas A&M, why we love Texas A&M, what made this university so special. And so in that conversation, I thought, that's a nice guy, but I still don't know really who he is. And then a couple weeks later, I saw that he had been announced as a sole finalist and then voted on and he passed through the Board of Regents. And so then this past Sunday, I got the chance to see him again. And after I finished standing in line to shake his hand, he saw me and his face lit up and he said, "Joseph, it is so good to see you. You had such a huge impact on my decision to come here. Students like you don't exist at other universities." And I said, "Sir, you literally could have pulled any student off the street and they would have told you the same thing that I told you about the traditions, the history, the culture here." And he said, "I know, and that's why, that's why this university is so special." And so I've already had the opportunity to establish a good relationship with Mr. Young. And I think one of the most important things that this president can do, there's a lot of important things, but one of the things he can do that affects students in SGA specifically is that former presidents have had a student body president on their cabinet, and that's been gone since Dr. Gates. And so we are hopeful that will come back with Mr. Young. He seems to have been open to the idea of including students on his cabinet meetings. We think it's an important way to get involved with the president. That is something that if I win, I will be asking and expecting of him. Thank you.
Well, like my fellow candidates, I also got to meet Mr. Young. He's a very, very nice guy. He is a lot different than our past. He's very much an academic president. He's going to push us forward in our academics. And with that, there's some changes, some things from Washington that he wants to bring. that are great ideas, but not necessarily the best practice. So the first step when sitting down with Mr. Young is to develop a respectful relationship where we can work together while I like to promote the best for the students. And so what that looks like is that we need to make sure, I need to make sure that he understands everything that Texas A&M, whether that's putting together some documents of what our traditions are, what our jargon is, so he understands and isn't confused when we're talking. Whatever he needs to learn what Texas A&M is, and that's the job of the student body president and that cabinet to make sure that he is off on the right foot and knowing what A&M is all about. After that, it's our job to make sure that A&M is progressing in the ways that it needs to. One of the things I know that is really big with Mr. Young is flipped classrooms, where you would have literally 800 students sitting in one classroom with 45 TAs at the bottom answering any questions you had after watching a lecture back home. And I personally don't believe in that type of education for our students. I think that we need the opportunity to sit there and learn with our students collaboratively and learn from our professor. And I would want to make sure that that doesn't happen. She's still receiving education from professors and not from a laptop. So that would be something that we really need to make sure that Mr. Young is for, and that we're protecting the integrity of our degree and our tradition. Thank you.
Thank you. The next set of questions will be addressed to an individual candidate and have been submitted by students across campus. The first question is for Joseph. The question says, we have seen both city council representative legislation already in the Senate and the tax-free textbook legislation already in both our student Senate and state legislation. So considering these elements of your platform, what would you say on your platform is something unique or new that you're bringing to the table?
Yes, so as a product of myself being involved in student government this past year, part of my platform are continuing these efforts that we've been doing this year to address the first part of that question. So the idea of a city council representative on our cabinet is not new. That's not my idea. I don't claim it to be. But it is part of my platform, and I think it's very important this next year that we continue the efforts that we've made this year as a student government to make sure that our student body is being represented in the city council. The same goes for the tax-free textbooks. I mean, I've said the Texas State Legislature, in some ways it's out of our hands, but it's really not. We need to make sure that we are in Austin, making sure that we're talking to the state reps, state senators. I worked in Austin this past summer at a political consulting firm. I actually got to meet a lot of the people there and make relationships and headway. So I feel like I have my foot in the door in a lot of great ways to make sure that all those state reps and senators know exactly how we feel about the tax-free textbooks bill. But as far as unique things go, I'm glad that that person asked. I have an idea who it was. But new things that we're excited about is, first of all, the muster organization that we are going to be starting. Like I said, we want to be sending representatives out on April 21st across the state of Texas to different musters being held. And we think this is a great way to connect former students to the current students. And I've already touched on that a little bit. Another great, I think, original idea that we have is that we want to endow the travel costs for families to silver tax. I've talked about that as well. Those are two amazing ideas that I think tangibly could improve the student body this next year. Both of them fit perfectly with the idea of promoting traditions around campus, letting the student body and the world outside know that traditions are still important in Texas A&M, and also supporting and strengthening the Aggie family, letting those people that are affected with silver taps come and see the outpour of love that Aggie family has. And for the muster organization, obviously, I think that would strengthen the Aggie family by connecting the former students with the current students. So those are new ideas that I think are fantastic. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Turning to your platform, Isaiah, how is your proposed Aggie Awareness Day different from the existing volunteer open house and other similar events that are already in place?
We understand that there's similar events, and there's also the nonprofit career fair as well, nonprofit fair. And Aggie Awareness Day, ultimately, one of our core values is selfless service. And ultimately, everything starts from somewhere as well. Like the big event started from a small committee, and it grew to its pretty much outrageous size of what it is today. And we believe to have an event like this for all students to be able to participate and promote a charity and just be a part of something larger than themselves is nice. And we have another platform policy. I don't know if we're gonna get another question, but I want to check this part in. It's our app. We either want to revamp the Tandem mobile app or call it the Pass It Back app. And what this will do is give you notifications straight to your phone, and it's also an anonymous report system straight to the student body president, which all issues can be discussed at the round table. Additionally, we've been trying to collaborate with Carpool Chorus for services, Stop Hazing, and Tell Somebody, so that way it'll have location services, it'll go straight to the server. Pretty much it's just live reporting system. So thank you.
Michael, why did you abstain on the concealed carry bill when it came to the Senate? And how would you address similar controversial issues in the future?
Thank you for that question. So when that bill came up, I did a lot of thinking. As a Republican, I stand for concealed carry. But as an elected representative of the student body, I vote based off how the students want. So in 2011, a referendum was passed that 57% of the students at Texas A&M did not want concealed carry. 43% wanted it. That's nearly even. So I couldn't really pick one side or the other to justify that I could vote in a way that would be only what I want. I couldn't choose to vote for because it was nearly half. I couldn't choose to vote against because it was nearly half. And I didn't want to, put my own beliefs into action when I was representing 900 people that voted me and the rest of the student body. So I chose to abstain because there wasn't a clear answer. And once again, if this were to come up again, which it won't because next year is not an open Texas legislative session. If it were to happen again, I would say that this needs to be a referendum once again. Such controversial issues need to be chosen by the student body and not by representatives. Even if we're elected, once again, 1.9% of the student body is being represented. 22% voted last year. That's not enough for us to make these incredibly controversial and challenging decisions on it. So I would say that if this were to come up again, I would ask for a referendum to be put back out. I would ask to see what the students want, and I would vote that way. Because as a student body president, as even just right now as a student senator, it is my job to represent the students, and I will always do that first and foremost. Thank you.
Continuing with questions for individual candidates. This question is for Isaiah. Isaiah, do you think that your lack of experience in SGA in any way is a disadvantage? And what are other experiences that you believe you bring to the table?
I knew this question was going to come up. Ultimately, yes, it's true. I was not involved in student senate like these two guys. They had more experience than me. Ultimately, we believe policy isn't really gonna, like many years down the road, you're not gonna remember which policy really affected your life. You're gonna remember the student body president that was at ground level, really investing in your life. One point I want to bring up, historically, it's always been something in SGA, but there's more to that. It's student body president, not student government president or MSC body president, anything like that. And ultimately, I believe all policies, like I said earlier, can be replicated, can be duplicated. We will work together, and hopefully, whoever gets elected, we can all still collaborate together and work for the better good of Texas A&M. Ultimately, I believe I'm an intelligent person. So I believe that everything can be learned as well. An experience in building relationships will come with that. So thank you.
This question is for Michael. Michael, a number of students submitted questions about diversity and inclusion. Do you feel that you have sufficient experience working with minority committees and have ideas in terms of how they can get more involved in Texas A&M, including groups like the Hispanic community and the LGBT community for Texas A&M?
That's a great question. Well, so from an early age, from middle school, I've had the opportunity to work with so many diverse backgrounds. And my dad was great, and he took me to Catholic charities literally every weekend. We worked with refugees from across the world. So I started from an early age working with people from everywhere. But for this specific role, I may not have had the background in a numerous amount of diverse organizations, but like my fellow candidates have said, it's not about skin color, it's not about race, it's not about sexual orientation or any of the above. It's about each individual person having their own diverse needs and wants. And I've been able to be a part of numerous organizations across campus, specifically Fish Camp is a great one. I've worked with so many different people. I've got to see everybody's needs and wants, and I know I can represent those well. For the Hispanic community and LGBTQ community, I've made it my goal since August to meet with their leaders, to hear what their concerns are, and to bring that into my platform to address that, and create this unification council so that we can address these needs even better. Because I may not know every single thing about each different sect of Texas A&M, but I can tell you one thing, there shouldn't be this sects. There should be one Texas A&M. And if we bring everybody together, and we have an open forum, I can know exactly what it is that I need to work on for each and every student. And that's what I think will work best for Texas A&M.
This question is for Joseph. Joseph, given that you're already embedded in the exec council, what is something that will be different about you and your administration than from past SVPs?
Yes, so I have a good deal of experience in student government. I've been in student government since a freshman, involved in student senate. I was on the lobbying team as a freshman, and then I was elected as a senator my freshman year, served my entire sophomore year as a senator, and then I served this past year as vice president of the student body of House Cabinet. So I have some amount of perspective when it comes to student government. I think that is a strong positive for a candidate, because it gives me the perspective to have looked at 3 administrations very closely, to have been close personal friends, I would say, with John Claver, Reed Joseph, and Kyle Kelly. And I'm not the same as them in any way. And this is not some kind of thing where, because I'm friends with them, you should think more highly of me. But because I know them, I've been able to see and think critically about them for 3 years. And there's a lot of things that I think that they've done well, and there's a lot of things that I think they could have done better. But it's that perspective where I've seen the decisions that they've made, I've seen the situations that they did, and how it's all cyclical and very similar. And I think that perspective that I have, that when an issue comes up this year, even with Kyle, there are issues that came up that have been the same for Reed, the same for John, the same for Jeff Henry before him. And so I think the perspective of really knowing how each one of them dealt with it is going to be very valuable for me this year. I think for the most part, as far as what I would want to do differently, I think Kyle Kelly has done a fantastic job this year. He's the best unified president we've had in a while, I would say very confidently. And so because of that, there's nothing major that I would do differently in terms of cabinet structure, in terms of goals and culture and SGA. I think he's done a fantastic job of bringing the branches together. Branches historically have not gotten along well. Kyle reached out to the Speaker of the Senate. He brought her to Fish Camp. He brought her to meetings with the president. All kinds of things that have done great things for the culture of SGA. Those are things that I admire in Kyle, and he's done very well. And I expect to continue to do those things as Student Body President. Thank you.
This is the last set of questions directed to specific individuals. This question is for Michael. And all 3 of these questions will relate to the relationship between student body presidents and the student body. Why is voter turnout low for SVP elections? What steps will you take to increase the voting percentage and increase awareness among the student population?
I would say that the relationship between the student body president and election turnout being so low is because the student body president currently seems almost as an unattainable figure that you never see. It's an individual that's located in Columbus that seems to never come out of the office. It's someone that you see once in a while and you stop and stare and go, wow, that's a real person. And I want to change that. I want to have office hours not in, it's not in that room that seems to be intimidating to so many different students. I want to have it right here in the Tulane Hall, where you can easily approach a table and you can just talk and have a conversation. Because first and foremost, I'm a student just like all of y'all. I want to revamp the SBK emails and take the clutter out of them so you can see the very important things and know exactly what we're doing so that you can probably have more information about your student body and what's happening in your student government. And lastly, I think it's all about those individual relationships like I've talked about. It's about reaching out to students. It's about letting them know that you are listening and that you care. And if people know you're listening and they know you care, then they're going to care. And that's going to transfer. Passion is contagious. So if we can ignite the student body with passion, I'd say we can double those numbers of voting, and we can have a student body president that is really, truly representative of the student body. Thank you.
This question is directed to Joseph. Joseph, much of the work of university governance occurs in a number of committees that students sit on. However, even though students are involved in this process, many times the student body is unaware of the different issues that are discussed and the different solutions that are proposed. How will you communicate across this divide between student leaders and the rest of the student population?
This year, I had the privilege of helping organize what was called the SBP Roundtable, which was Kyle's way to meet with student leaders across campus consistently in a way that we were making sure that all major groups of students were being represented. We had the core leadership, we had Yale leaders, we had MSC leadership, we had RHA, we had Greek Life, Analytic, and there was a large group of students represented at this council that Kyle held. And I think it was a fantastic way to bounce ideas off each other, to unify on initiatives, and make sure that our message was clear across the student body on issues that we wanted to communicate well. And I think that model has worked well this year, actually. It worked well for issues like the tuition increase that we experienced in October, where the message that students were hearing was consistent across the board, because we all met as leaders together and said, okay, here's what's happening, here's how we're going to deal with it. And so that kind of model that Kyle has done a good job of this year is something I certainly intend to continue upon next year. I think it's benefited the student body in a lot of ways. Most tangibly, I would say it was with the tuition increases that we experienced. For the most part, all things considered, that went relatively smoothly. I'm never in favor of tuition increases. But because a unified message was sent from all of the student leaders that said, we are not in favor of tuition increases, we are especially not in favor of the fact that we didn't hear about this soon enough. That was from the Student Senate, that was from Kyle Kelly, that was from everybody at that council. And that type of group work and group think, I think, is very important, and it's something I hope to continue as student body president. So thank you.
Isaiah, in the same vein, a number of students, in raising questions, expressed concern that SGA doesn't always represent the opinions of the entire student body, but rather a small subset. Do you view this as a problem, and how will you address this?
I definitely agree that there is a disconnection. It's very obvious between SGA and the student body. And that starts with us, to get involved, to get educated, to get informed, to vote, to voice your concern. So that's my pitch, vote. Ultimately, I think one way that needs to change, because ultimately you were elected and you were selected by your peers within your community to represent us. And through this process, I got to see many different sides of politics, how much stress it has, how kind of dirty it is, but ultimately how you kind of lose that relationship, connecting with people. And I believe if you're in Student Senate, keep going to organizations, keep getting to know your constituents, because you are there to represent us. And ultimately, the student body president should do the same. And I believe Kyle Kelly's been doing a tremendous job going out to everything he possibly can. I just want to see more of that action. I mean, within APC, it's a requirement for our officers to attend all the umbrella organizations under us. And we'd like to see that same structure in SGA as well.
Great. Well, next move into the next stage of tonight's debate. In this stage, each candidate will be given the chance to pose questions to the other candidates. Each candidate may choose whether to ask the same question to each candidate or to ask different questions to each candidate. Joseph will be asking the first questions, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to his question.
My first question is for Michael, and it is prefaced by the fact that our Senate body right now is broken up into different caucuses. All of the major colleges are represented, all of the major living spaces on and off campus are represented. And I think pretty fairly and evenly distributed. There's actually some math that goes into figuring out exactly how many from each different area should be represented, so that's proportional. So my question to Michael is, what exactly do you mean only 1.9 or 1.8% of students are being represented? I feel that the structure of Senate has actually done a good job of representing the entire student body, or certainly anyone who's interested to vote. So what do you mean by that, and how do you want to fix it?
All right, thank you for your question, Joseph. That number is taken from the exact amount of students represented in SGA. There is, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but a certain amount of students that account for that, nearly 2%. And from my time in SGA, I've seen incredible senators, incredible representatives across many committees, but I haven't seen them bringing necessarily everything back to who they're representing. I haven't seen constituents being kept in the loop. I haven't seen students knowing what exactly we're talking about when I say, hey, did you hear about that concealed carry? What? They don't know. That's unacceptable. So 1.9% of the students are represented. They know everything going on. But the 98% outside of that are lucky to hear exactly what's occurring in their SGA. And for that reason, there are only 2% that are fully represented, because those are the people that are currently enrolled in SGA, and I guess KBs. So my unification council can change that, because you're going to have listservs created for all the organizations. You're going to have the presidents of those exact organizations, the director of, class councils, the president of OLAGs, BCA, One Army. You're going to have those people sitting in there and bringing it right back to their members in their organizations. We're going to dramatically increase the people that know exactly what's occurring, because they're going to be sitting in a meeting once a month hearing exactly what's occurring. And that is how we fix that 2% crisis. Thank you.
I guess my next question for Isaiah is happy to different. Isaiah, what do you feel is the most, what do you feel the role of student body president is, and how do you expect to fill it well?
We've already all touched up on this. You're here to serve. It says straightforward as that. You're here to serve your school, your community, your constituents. I think, and how that looks like I already said, you have to get to know your community. We've been on ground floor since day one. Like I said, I was in the varsity, class council with Michael Murphy, and these people as well. Now I'm part of APC and the Department of Multicultural Services. This year I've become the ambassador. And I think that's what my role is right now in life, where I am right now in life. Ultimately, I believe as student body president, you are supposed to represent the student body. And I think as student body president, you have a huge influence to empower and inspire from all students here at Texas A&M. I just want to share a real quick story. My mom, we talk about parents, so my dad and my mom. My dad and my mom came from Taiwan. And they were just chasing their dream here in America. Now my mom takes care, she teaches special needs, and takes care of heart surgery patients, and 20 families from China for cancer. And this boy passed away His name's Shupan, he's 19 years old. And when he passed away, I asked his mom, first some things he wished he could have done in life. The first thing he said is, I wish I could have gone to college. And that kind of hit me. And the second one, he apologized for saying, he said, Mom and Dad, please have another kid because I want to be there to take care of you when you're older. So I believe if he was still alive, he would say, live a meaningful life. Don't take opportunities for granted. And ultimately love and invest in everyone around you. That's what I believe student body president should do. Thank you.
The next candidate to pose 2 questions will be Isaiah.
My first question would be from Michael Murtha. How would you address tangible solutions for minority student retention and inclusion here at Texas A&M?
Thank you for that question, Isaiah. I feel like I've harped on it a lot, but I'll harp on it a little bit more. The Unification Council is my solution to this problem. You already know there's a federal president that will come to this meeting once a month. You already know that you all be represented. But there are other ways that we can also do that. Instead of just doing a student body president email, I want to create a video. It goes out once a month. That's just an informative video. People are much more likely to watch the video when they're procrastinating in class rather than reading an email. At least I am. So we have so many emails already. So that's another way that all of the diverse students throughout campus can stay informed. Also, I want to make sure that we have a very, very, very diverse cabinet if I'm elected. We don't have, I know that diversity doesn't boil down to race, religion, sexual orientation, etc. But it still is, how do you say, a factor that we have to account for, all those things. And so all those different matters still deserve representation, not just solely because of those things, but because that's a different part of this campus that we haven't been able to reach out to. So we need committee members that know all the different areas of campus. We need to work with the Senate to make sure that we have liaisons to all those areas of campus. That's not something the student body president can do. That's something they can work with the Senate to make sure that those liaisons are in place so that everybody is cared for. Between that, the Unification Council, and hopefully informative videos to tell everybody what's going on, we will have a more representative SGA and a diverse population of Congress represented. Thank you.
And this question is for Jesse. How will your administration be different? I know you touched a little bit on it. How will it be different than previous administrations in terms of working with other branches of SGA, like senators, and ultimately the university administration?
Thanks, Isaiah. I have seen a progression that is very encouraging during my time in student government. When I was a freshman, the branches didn't talk to each other. They just didn't. And then because there was a long history of the student body president and the speaker of the Senate, and sometimes even the Chief Justice, they just did not get along. It was better my sophomore year, but it was still not good. It's even better this year, but it's still not where we should be. And so one of my goals as far as the unity of SGA as a whole is continue this positive trend that I've seen. I am, all of us, or Michael or I would be the first student body president with Senate experience in a very, very long time. Usually, the student body president does not come into the office with any experience on the Senate floor. I think that my time spent every single year involved with the student senate in one way or another, from freshman as just an assistant who took notes on the bills, to getting elected at the end of my freshman year, serving my entire sophomore year, and then this past semester, serving as an official liaison from the executive cabinet to the student senate. I think that there is a strong potential for the relationships that I've established in the Senate body to result in a more unified SGA than we've ever seen before. I've left the Senate, I think, with positive relationships, and I expect to be able to use those for the betterment of the culture of SGA and Texas A&M in general. The same goes for the Judicial Council. Certainly want to leave Brendan Cooper out of this in the back. Historically, that's been less of a tumultuous relationship, but I believe that the three SGA branches working in unison together is by far the most effective form that we can take. And so that would be one of my primary goals as student body president. Thank you.
Michael will ask the next two questions.
Okay, so my first one is for Isaiah. On your platform, Isaiah, you say that you will pardon first-time parking violations and increase on-campus parking. As a proxy currently to the Transportation Services Committee, I'm interested in what you would specifically do step by step to achieve these things besides just working with transportation.
Yeah, so one of our policies that is on the website says parking violation, first time parking violation for units. We put that on there. UT has that as well. But when I had my first one, I remember it was not like, I'm sorry. TU. Ultimately, step by step, we work with Transportation Services Committee. As far as I know, as what I'm educated on is that would have to go through the Senate and ultimately go to the student body president and the board. You already know I'm not too educated enough when it comes to the Senate, but I believe all that can be learned as well, like I've already previously touched. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, and this one is for Joseph. Joseph, you had 3 years within SGA to accomplish the goals that you're planning will promote the future. Why have these goals not already been implemented? And why are you running on goals such as tax-free textbooks that Lauren Felder wrote and student senate, excuse me, that was Fernando Sosa, I believe, and then city council representative that is already being worked on by Lauren Felder and LR. Why are you running on these things that have already been attained or nearly attained by student senate?
Well, I've already addressed this issue a little bit. I think it's pretty clear that they have not been attained, and so we need to continue to attain them, or to seek to. So the tax-free textbooks issue needs to be properly advocated for in Austin. The position for the city council representatives, first of all, can work on co-equally with the executive cabinet represented by Jeff Claybrook and the student senate represented by Lauren Felder. Another example of the good SGA unity that we've had this year. So I have no shame in having issues that are ongoing as part of my platform. I'm not going to hide from the fact that there are things that take longer than a year or 6 months to accomplish that I hope to accomplish that have not yet come to fruition. So I see no issue with that. And as far as the goals that I've had coming into SGA, when I ran for Senate as a freshman, people were asking me, why do you want to go to Senate? We've seen how dysfunctional the 65th session had been, not in and of themselves, but how dysfunctional they had been with between them and the student body president. And I said, when I look at Texas A&M, I see a unified and respectful student body. And when I see the way that the executive cabinet and student senate interact with each other, it is in no way unified or respectful. And so my goal as a freshman was to do what I could to impact the culture of the Senate and SGA. I believe that I left having friendships on both sides of the aisle, as you might say. As a sophomore, at the end of my sophomore year, I believe that I continue to build upon those friendships. So I would say that the trend that we've seen in student government is in some ways a part, I would say, a success of my main goal as a freshman running for Senate. And so it's encouraging to know that, and that's been my main goal the whole time, is that I want to see a unified and respectful student government in the same way that I see a unified and respectful student body. Thank you.
Based on where we're at with time, we have the opportunity to go through one more round of questions. Each candidate can ask one more question. So we'll go in the opposite order of what we just went through. So we'll go Michael, Isaiah, Joseph, asking one question. Let's make that a 1 minute response on each.
All right, so this first question will be for Isaiah again. Your passive backup requires the work of many different segments of Texas A&M, from IT teams to marketing and design experts. I'm interested in how you plan to fund this initiative, and how it will be any different than the Tammy mobile app that already exists when we literally have 16 cents left in the SGA budget.
So right now, the Pass It Back app or the revitalizing the Temi mobile app, we are already working on a prototype. So everything right now is student funded. That's our problem for Texas A&M. Ultimately, we already touched upon what this app does. It'll give us we were all talking about there's a lot of communication here. This gives you direct communication to the students back up to the student body president. And of course, there's the collaboration with Carpool Coursework Services, and they're all working on their own part as well. And third portion is the push notifications. You get direct notifications from the student body president. Ultimately, right now it is a student funded. We have a person working on it, 2 people, and Texas A&M, if they choose to, they can buy promos. We've seen this from the AskAgs website as well, and other past. This was done in during the John Claybrook and Rick Nunn campaign as well. So these things they can be implemented here at Texas A&M. I don't have any further questions, thank you.
I'm expecting a third question. But, I think my third question is for Michael. And I'm interested to know I guess this goes back a little bit. I want some more clarification on the 1.9%. I'm still a little hung up on that. So if that's what representation means to you, do you simply intend to increase the number of people who are directly involved in student government outside of the unification? Actually, that is not my question. I'm sorry. That's probably unfair, but my question is not it. My question is, after having run the Student Body President Roundtable, and we had difficulty getting the 15 or so organizations that we invited to actually want to participate in the roundtable, how do you expect a 100-person roundtable essentially to function efficiently and effectively with willing participation from the presidents of the different organizations? Thank you.
Great question, Joseph. Tongue-tied. So, that's a great question. We have looked into all that kind of stuff. We want to implement it, not right away, because we don't think that we should kick something off that is not completely ready to make huge strides. So, if elected, we will not kick it off until August, and I will create a position on the executive cabinet that specifically oversees that, creates the listservs, and works with the organizations. We will find out which month is best for each organization to attend, and then that will be their month to attend. With that, we think that every single thing that we do here at Texas A&M needs a foundation. So it may not be perfect in the first year, but we need to start now. Okay? Bill was not perfect in the first year, but it's getting better and better every year. Every tradition has to start at some point. And eventually when the students and their organizations and representatives see what kind of things we can do, I think that they'll be excited to come to this meeting, work together, and make A&M a better place for us. Thank you.
We're nearing the conclusion of tonight's discussion. Each candidate will be given 4 more minutes to give their closing statement. While I give them a chance to collect their thoughts, let me tell you that Texas A&M is undergoing a period of tremendous change. As we already discussed, President Young will be starting his tenure, and the student body president that you elect will be the first one to work with him for a full term. Texas A&M has an active search for a new vice president of student affairs, and again, this student body president would be the first to work with that person. I had the similar opportunity to be the first student body president to work with Bob Gates when he was our president, before later becoming Secretary of Defense. I had the opportunity to work with Dean Rashani when he was called here to be our Vice President of Student Affairs. So I can tell you from personal experience that the decision that you have in front of you in terms of this election is very important. This is a real position that has real influence on the minds of our official university leaders and obviously the minds of the public community in which Texas A&M serves. So I thank you very much for your interest in this election. I thank you very much for your willingness to encourage others to become involved in student government and to vote so that the student body president and SGA in general can represent the will of the student body and represent you well. As a side note, former student body president Will Hurd was recently elected in San Antonio and now serves in Congress, even though he graduated in 1999. So the person who you elect to this position may very well go on to accomplish great things, not only for our university, but for our state and our nation. I thank you so much for your willingness to engage in this process. For our closing statements, the order is Isaiah, and Michael, and Joseph, and each candidate has 4 minutes.
I just want to first and foremost say thank you for all coming out. It's great to see this kind of support and encouragement of all 3 of us. Ultimately, all 3 of us are running on very similar things. We want the betterment for the Aggie family. I believe for our platform, we are doing that tangibly. Like I already said, we have those senators running. Ultimately, we want to see Texas A&M. I believe here at Texas A&M, we are a family. And it really does break my heart to hear. I've had the time, it's been a lot of stress to listen, and it kind of brings you down, and it's like a burden on your shoulders. To really listen to the students and hear all the problems that are going on in LGBT community, in the core, in multicultural services. I believe here at Texas A&M, we want to be the greatest. I cannot be more proud of Texas A&M. And despite our differences, I believe it's the Aggie spirit that unites us. Recently, I've gotten to talk to the SGA Diversity Committee, and Texas A&M was stayed right behind BYU in conservatism, and that's a stigma. And if we want to be number 1 by 2020, or top 10 by 2020, the world around us is changing. Here at Texas A&M, things are changing. We have a new president, we have a new vice president of student affairs, and we have our first female leader in the core in 139 years. That's something. So I just challenge you, embrace change. Don't be afraid of change. We talk about legacy, maintaining legacy. The legacy is how you make your impact in your time here at Texas A&M. That's the legacy. So I'm just going to conclude and say, I challenge you to embrace change, to initiate with Isaiah, do what is right, and just live meaningful lives. Thanks and giggle.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for taking time on a Monday night, especially test week, to sit here and listen to us. It's phenomenal to see this many people here. We even had people on the balcony earlier. That's pretty impressive. So that is awesome. And I see that we're making a transition and change, that students are truly caring about who's going to be elected to serve them. As cliche as it sounds, this isn't about any single one of us sitting up here. This is about all of y'all sitting up there. This is about us representing you in the best way possible. And taking our platforms and making them not simply words on a piece of paper, but actions that you will see in your everyday lives for the rest of next year and the time to come. I think that we have the ability to do amazing things this year. I think that all 3 of these, or well, these other 2 and myself, have abilities and platforms that are amazing, and we can do great things. But I'm going to tell you why I think that I could be your next student. I haven't been involved in SGA since I was a freshman. I've been involved in many different organizations across campus, from class councils to fish camp to OLAGs, so many other things. And I've truly gotten to live the Aggie experience outside of SGA. I ran to become a senator because I saw that there was a problem that needed to be fixed. I took that problem full on, and I wanted to work to make sure that every student had the representation they deserved. And I saw that I could promote that even further from this position as student body president. Like I said, there is 1.9% represented, and I want y'all to be our 98%. We need a 98% that has the representation. We need 100% that has representation. The SVP roundtable is too small. 15 leaders does not represent Texas A&M. 100 leaders does not represent Texas A&M, but it's the right step. So I ask that you unite with me and with the rest of the student body, and that we make incredible things happen. There's an incredible quote that I heard from Dr. Musso at my retreat, and I want to leave you with it. There is no Texas A&M. I'll repeat that. There is no Texas A&M. There are 50,000 Texas A&Ms. Every single one of you has your own experience at Texas A&M. Every single one of you has your own views of it, and it is our job as student leaders, it is my job as elected student body president to give you the best Texas A&M I possibly can. And I need your vote to make that happen. I thank y'all so much for coming here tonight. My name is Michael Murtha again, if y'all forgot. And please remember to vote on February 19th and 20th, whether it's for me, Isaiah, or Joseph. Getting out the vote matters, and finding a student body president that will represent you matters. Thank y'all so much, and have a great night.
I want to say thank you as well. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedule and been interested enough to sit through a lengthy debate. So that speaks a lot about you as an advocate, and I think that's important. The idea of advocate, what does that mean? There is no Texas A&M. Frankly, I disagree with that. There is a Texas A&M. There are 50,000 students, but there is one Texas A&M, and that's what unites us all. You know, I talked about diversity today with the diversity commission as well, and I said that diversity is at Texas A&M is fantastic because it reminds us of our individual strengths, but it also points to the fact that we are all one because of Texas A&M, not because of our race or gender or backgrounds or whatever it is. We all are different in those ways. But when we come to Texas A&M, we are all fighting Texas A&M. And I think that consistency through the change that we're experiencing right now is important. We're in a new conference. We have a new stadium. We have a new president. We have a new vice president of student affairs. And what I'm offering to the student body is consistency through this change. That we will stay focused on what makes Texas A&M special. Traditions, spirit, core values. Those will be the forefront of our cabinet. Those will be the forefront of the Student Government Association. And that is my forefront. I'm offering to you the idea of Texas A&M and what it means to you now, and the best of it. That is what our campaign is about. We recognize that everybody is different, of course. But when we come to Texas A&M, when you step on the College Station, we're all fighting Texas Aggies, and that's something that we can all do. So if you believe in the power and the purpose of the Aggie family, we ask that you join this campaign. So thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. Thanks.
I want to conclude tonight by saying that none of us knows what the next year holds for Texas A&M. Will Hurd in 1999 didn't know that would be the year that Bonfire would collapse, and he'd be called upon to usher the student body through that tragedy. I didn't know when I served that I'd have the opportunity to meet with all those families and dedicate the Bonfire Memorial. I did not have the chance to travel to Qatar to open our campus in the Middle East. Joe Pickering didn't know that he would get a call saying that our university was going to move to the SEC, and he'd have the opportunity to be involved in that transition. None of us knows what the next year holds, and so I close tonight's debate by asking you a question, and that is, how will Texas A&M be different because of what you did here at Texas A&M? Well, what's your legacy? What will be different because of the way you got involved, the way you impacted Texas A&M University? Your presence here tonight is one way that you're leaving an impact. Your votes on February 19th and 20th are another way that you're leaving an impact. I now ask that all the candidates rise so we can applaud their commitment and love for this university. Thank you again.
Congratulations. Really huge step. It's going to be a whirlwind of a few weeks. One piece of advice I have for all three of you guys is to write.
Oh.